map, one match. They've lost one match. They've lost like 3 maps since Paris.
Over the last
6 months, they've lost like 3 maps or something along those lines.
In the last regular season, which is 6 months long.
God, I wish we had a Siege GG pop up there.
They lost 1 map in the regular season. Outside of that, I can't really say with authority. But in the last,
Penta.
Yeah, it was to Penta. Good job to them. But and then they also had a draw against a Vitality. Yeah, it was against Vitality. I'm pretty sure, who are no longer in Pro League. So that's interesting. Well, that was at the beginning. That was the first half of the last season, which was a long time ago. So anyway, moving on. Yeah, they don't lose very much.
Not usually. Not usually at all. For Secret, they're hoping that trend of losing will re-emerge. Your operator bans will be Team Secret, banning both Montaigne and Mira, with Maestro and Glaz. Almost 4M operators.
Only 3, though.
Could have been Maverick. If they had banned Maverick instead of Monty, it would have been 4M operators.
And on that note, Maverick is a really solid ban.
And on this map, he's great. And we just saw him. He went unbanned on Clubhouse in our first match of the day. And I think you could say that Aces on Maverick wreaked havoc on the way that Penta played. So we'll see what can be done with Maverick. Here it's going to be Steezy taking him immediately.
So it's going to be Aviator Games Room for the first bomb site. Stands to reason. You get Aviator and Trophy. Those are the 2 primaries. Usually the tertiary is going to be the
kitchen downstairs.
Kitchen, yeah. And then you have the library, or is it living room? That's the word.
Living room library is the least defended site by stats that we have seen.
Yeah, it just, no one ever goes there. And the reason being is that it's so very easy to isolate the south end and plant the diffuser. But we're not going to be going there yet.
I mean, also you have to factor in, we saw this similarly with Coastline for the first 2 seasons that Coastline was in. Not all 4 sites were played, and that's because it's a new map. You're still trying to figure it out. Number one, you have to try and manage a map pool, because you know that you're going to always have 2 insta-bans. You also have to try and make sure that you have strats on enough sites. And that's one of those things where it could also just be that maybe teams aren't prioritizing learning that site because they realize that with the 3-site rotation, they can go quite well without ever needing to step foot in library or the living room.
No, we haven't really talked about this much, but Mute getting a lot more plays as he had the SMG-11 added in.
His pick rate has skyrocketed.
Yeah, you're just playing the shotgun SMG-11 again. It's like having smoke, but he has different utility. He's so powerful with that kit.
It just enables a different style of play, right? He's not as good for your direct plant denial. Gogo will lose 1 drone to Leon Gids, the man himself. As Kanto says, okay, well, you take the Yokai drone, but I'm going to take your head. Doesn't end up getting it, though, as looks like actually all of his shots miss. Unfortunate for G2 fans. We've seen some early action as that AUG is being run by the IQ. Will still continue to try to hunt down Kanto Ricchetti on drone, as he's currently getting hunted through Trophy. And he'll drop to the main floor and manage to evade the sights of anybody from Team Secret, who will now need to once again flush him out. But G2 will tag in Jonas. No cloaking device active. He'll take down a drone, and there's Meepy to try and get the kill, but no.
I gotta say, this is so typical G2 play right now on defense that they've done this for a long time, and they're doing it once again. And what am I talking about? They have roamers, but they flex the roamers. They don't engage directly. They don't try to confront unless they have a clear advantage. Whenever they're met with pressure, they slowly fall back. They look for the opportunities, but they don't force them. And it's working out great for G2 here. I have to say, I think Villa is quite possibly one of the best maps for that style of play on defense. And I definitely expect G2 to rack up a lot of wins on the defensive side. That's something that Secret's going to have to work on, really just being a little bit more aggressive with the roam clear.
Kanto Ricchetti at a disadvantage with the fact that an ACOG on Leon Gids' AUG will spot the Jaeger before the Jaeger can see him, and Kanto missing some shots. That will forfeit control of 90 from G2 and give Secret an easy opportunity to open up the wall into Vault, staggering the X-Kairos to try and prevent any damage that could be done from an impact trick. Alem's getting that Vault wall, which forces G2 to have to move around the site. They can't sit quite as comfortably as they were before. In fact, Secret now is also rotated, and Steez is going to get kill number 1 onto Kanto. What little was left of that Jaeger will be no more. Fabian trades that off of his own, taking out Lackey, though, who didn't appear to be that well into the action. A couple misses from Jonas, usually quite an accurate Finn, but it'll be Leon, who had done damage to Kanto before, finishing off the other Finnish member of G2. Great rotate from Fabian all the way to 90, takes out Meepy, but Steezy's there again. Eliminate Pengu as Fabian just waits patiently, but he could easily get pinched here. It's going to put a lot of work into the hands of Goga, who misses his shots, but Steezy, an amazing 4K for Secret to start things off, and the Frenchman will carry his team through round number 1 and give the attackers it's the very first round.
Some serious missed opportunities there from G2, unlike them, that's for sure. And Fabian, who, if I'm not mistaken, had the lowest kill death ratio in the previous match for G2, being forced to actually put in the fragging power there for his team, and it wasn't enough in the end. Interesting thing though, I think it was Fabian who had the lowest KD, but he also had the highest cost of his entire team in yesterday's match. So something to definitely point out, and worth noting how important, as Pengu tweeted about, how important those support players really are. Now, they shouldn't be getting the kills, though. That's the problem. Jonas is playing on the main stairs. Some serious misses there against Leon. And I think we can all say we've been there. We've done that when it comes to those rails. They do tend to get in the way and get very distracting in the middle of an engagement. Cantor Ketty died to playing in a bad spot, I think is what I would chalk that up to. He was playing inside of Study, and the window right next to him was broken, so he's got that first kill there in the round, and from there it all just started falling apart, because once Kanto lost control of Study, his team didn't really have a whole lot to fall back on. They also didn't have some general, basic site control, so maybe working a little bit better on the rotating back to site portion is something that G2 needs to focus on. But they would go back to the same site here for a second attempt.
It's a bit of a peculiar entry there from Team Secret, as they all seem to be quite spread out, but they were still, despite being as far away from each other as possible on many parts of this map, doing efficient drone work on their teammates, showing that as a team that drones together. I don't know. I was going to think of a rhyme. I was going to say a team that stays together slays together.
A team that drones together wins together?
A team that plays together slays together, Michael.
Yeah.
But that entry's not going to be quite successful this time, as it's two very early kills from G2 onto both Kanto and Jonas. Getting Steezy and Leon Gids, that IQ sensor will be gone into a lot of these gadgets, especially the Yokai drones, as well as the mute jammers will not be spotted, and G2's able to scramble away and now force Secret, after losing a minute on the clock and 2 members of their team, to go back on drones and commit even greater time to figure out their next step.
I don't like this. I don't like what I'm seeing here from Lackey right now. He's pre-firing his way into Astronomy, but that just means that nobody's droning him in, which is bad information gathering from Secret. They definitely need to work on that. In the last round, we saw G2 missing a lot of their shots. Not so here. 2 kills early on, and now Secret are the ones who have to fight against a pretty steep wall.
The big problem, too, is that 30 seconds has gone by and you've only got 3 members. They might not have drones. That's the other issue, too. So they could essentially be going in blind. Fabian and Kanto adding to the total for G2 as Goga does his best to alert the rest of his team to Alem's position, playing over by the site, waiting to see, and while Alem's a nice flick onto Jonas will be rewarded by an early grave as Pengu digs it for him. G2 takes that one, and we will bounce back after most of the action occurs quite far off site.
So
a good rebound.
Yeah, a good rebound. It's a good way to put it. Overall, I think it really just comes down to G2 not missing their shots. There were like 2 or 3 opportunities being missed in the first round by G2. They set themselves up right, but they didn't hit the shots. That's really all it comes down to. There, they didn't even need to get to attempt number 2. It all ended at the beginning. So as soon as Secret confronted any of the members of G2, they were felled quite easily. Now, Trophy, the second site here, and that's quite interesting. We're actually going to see a Capcan in 6 picked into off of the Pulse. You don't see that every day. Capcan can be really useful, though. I mean, we've talked about it in the past, especially on maps like Villa. There's quite a lot of doorways, but more importantly, it's a map that people aren't as comfortable with yet, just because it's on the newer side of competitive Siege. You can catch people off guard with those Capcan traps if placed correctly.
The other thing too with Capcan is if they feel that Secret might not be entering successfully, or maybe they're not as good on drones as you could expect, or maybe if you even think that Secret is going to be weak on this site and take until the very end. Those Capcan traps values skyrocket, especially in the final 20 seconds of a round. You don't really have time to shoot the Capcan trap, because if you do, not only do you give your position away, but on top of that, you also take a couple seconds off of the clock here. Interesting to me, though, is that Fabian's going to be running that GSH. There was some actual debate about the GSH yesterday in the EU matches, in which there's a heavy debate. The PMM used to have the highest DPS on a pistol, and then it eventually fell by the wayside in comparison to newer editions. The GSH has a huge magazine.
Man, it's the discussion of the 1911 versus the 5.7. It's the same thing. It's you know, more ammo for more attempted headshots or higher damage. What do you want? It's up to you. I mean, both are good. It just depends on what you're aiming at. Are you aiming at the head or are you aiming at the torso? Simple as.
I believe Macy J said that he will always take the gun with the higher magazine size, because then you have a better chance of landing that headshot before you need to go for a reload. So I mean, that's definitely a theory behind it, even though the GSH does tend to see less play than the PMM still to this day.
I agree with him. But moving on, Cantor Akedi going for a roam over by Aviator. And Pengu is there to support him from the main hallway. He's got a good crossfire going on with Kanto. You can see this breach that I think the attackers actually made.
They've also got Goga's Yokai drone there to help spot. That's sitting in the middle of the study for the entry that will aid both of them.
We see Leon, though, win the fight against Jonas, and down, upstairs, CZ able to take down Cantor Akedi, who exposes himself unnecessarily. From the main stairs, Pengu exposes himself as well, but manages to get a double kill, almost a triple with the pre-fire, but he misses the shots in the end. And Pengu will be shut down, though that is a huge, huge salvage from Pengu. That was an all-lost scenario, and he managed to get 2 out of it.
You still got plant denial down in Goga, and I don't think Fabian's been droned out on that bottom floor. He might have to get back at some point. Currently prone inside of Library, holding the stairwell on which there is a body from Secret. So if Fabian times it correctly, he could potentially pop up and catch somebody on Secret with their back to him.
But it also puts all of that pressure onto Goga. He's perfectly capable of solo anchoring. We've seen him do it before, and he's got those Yokai drones to support him. This is what we did not see from Penta in the previous match. They didn't have the Yokai, they didn't have the Maestro Evil Eye. The anchors were alone when all the the roamers died, but not so here. Plus, the Capcan traps, if set up to hold the site, will be of a great assistance here.
None of the members of Secret are even remotely close to the site. They appear to be towards the other side of the map, which means that Fabian's setting down that one EDD, as you mentioned, the entry denial device. It's going to mean that it could possibly catch somebody from Secret there. And if you've already droned that out, you're not necessarily anticipating a 50 or 40 or 60 damage trap being there. And there you go! Easy gets taken down, and Fabian makes the correct call. He's going to try to jump on the free kill, but don't be tempted, as they've lost control of sight. Another down, this time onto Alems. Fabian will clean up, and he goes for it! Unbelievable! Fabian with the 3-piece and the Capcan trap, showing off the biggest brain on the Swedish member of G2. What a play to keep it in their favor, and they'll take the round off of some incredible theatrics.
That whole last 30 seconds of that round was just, oh no, Secret, oh no, Secret, and it happened. Fabian, what a clutch, and off the back of a Capcan trap. You just don't see that happen. I mean, remember when Capcan one-shot, and there was like 3 traps? He one-shot, there was 3 traps. Every single, and they had the big old screw and the you know, the laser. Every single time a Capcan trap would get a kill in the chat, it was just ha 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 ha. And I feel like we just got a little taste of that again, because that Capcan trap did really helped in that clutch. I mean, imagine Fabian's caught in between 2 players in one. Capcan trap doesn't get the down, and yeah, it's gonna be he could still win it, but it's gonna be so much more difficult.
For those that are unaware of the changes that happened, there used to be mid-season reinforcements way back in the day, in which halfway through a season, they would retool 1, 2, possibly 3 operators. There were a couple operators that were touched on. Twitch was changed at one point, Doc was changed at one point, Glaz was changed, Blitz was changed, etc. But Capcan was moved from a 3 armor and a 1 speed up to a 2 armor and a 2 speed. Instead of his traps having, as you mentioned, those huge spikes in them, he actually got retooled quite a bit. But basically what happened was he had 3 traps, and they were insta-deaths. You walked through them, you were dead. But there was a faint red line that showed. So they took away the line, They gave him 5, and they made them do 40 damage to 3 armors, 50 damage to 2 armors, and 60 damage to 1 armors, or 3 speeds, so to speak. And you saw that firsthand. 2 3 speeds jump in, both Maverick and Hibana, and that's 60 damage. That's quite a wallop to both of them. And while waiting for the reset, Fabian had the marks from, you guessed it, Goga's Yokai drone, seated there, insight to give the intel needed for him to capitalize on the down.
And that's the crazy thing, isn't it? You know, the Yokai, I mean, this is what we're talking about in the Penta versus Listerine match that just happened. Penta kept losing their roamers for nothing, and then the Anchors didn't have Maestro or Echo because both of them were banned. So much information is just not available to them because of that, and they're losing bodies. They need something to compensate. Insight, Goga did nothing. He died like that. I think he may have downed the Hibana. I don't know if that was the trap or if it was him, but either way, he died.
Fabian was credited, I think, with the final kill.
Yeah, I think so. But it was with I think I saw the SMG in the kill feed.
Could have been, yeah.
So I think he just shot him. But it doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to get at here is that Goga didn't have as much influence on the outcome of that round directly as I think he could have.
Right.
But he's playing Echo, Yokai drone. So indirectly, he's still assisting his team. He doesn't even need to be on the Yokai. His teammates could be marking for him. Point I'm trying to get at is that's so much that you have that just wasn't available in the previous match.
Doing things that help your team but never get seen and never get the recognition you deserve. The Goga story, I feel like, is if he was to have a special on Primetime Siege TV here for all of you, that's what it would be called. But it looks like we're all ready to get back into the game with our 4th round after all hope was lost essentially for G2, but what a turnaround for the team, and all in the hands of their IGL and captain Fabian as an unlikely hero, Capkin, emerges to save the day. That's 2 consecutive defensive rounds, and it will prompt G2 to go downstairs to dining room kitchen.
So we are going to be going to a kitchen defense, it looks like, as we've seen G2 win both the primary bomb sites, AVG and Trophy.
Did you just call Aviator Gaming AVG?
AVG, it just rolls off the tongue better. I mean,
that actually does sound really
everybody,
good, AVG.
Hey, everybody always says
Aviator Games.
Well, everybody always says Aviator or Games, right? But AVG, I mean,
AVG sounds really good for a site.
Yeah. So
that is. I like that.
You're welcome.
Let's make that a thing. I'm gonna make that.
We'll make it a thing, Parker. We'll say AVG whenever we cast it. There you go. Now, going into kitchen. Kitchen is definitely a great bomb site to defend, but it's a little bit more exposed than the other two. And the reason being, of course, is that you are exposed to the basement and the top floor. And that's really crucial to point out. The basement is almost a non-factor when attacking the top floor. The most it does is it allows for a deep roam for the defenders, an avenue for them to come up behind you whenever they see fit. And it's hard to really lock that down as an attacking team. But when attacking kitchen, you can come up from the basement stairs, direct proximity to the site, and it's going to actually be in the room that Lackey is right next to right now, or the one he was rappelling on the window of, that you can gain access to kitchen directly. It's dangerous to do, but it is an avenue that you don't have access to on any top floor attacks from that basement. Speaking of basement, it's easy. First kill of the round downstairs.
And he's going to take out Fabian. All of that hard work to keep his team in it and give them the victory in the previous round will not be at his disposal, nor his team's disposal. But a bit of a belated draw there as Jonas will take out Lackey. Lackey not being very successful on the entry as Zofia for 2 rounds now. He picked off quite early on, though he was also almost managed to grab it. Grab the, I suppose, revive last time. It's a flurry of kills as 2 come out from G2, and Leon Gids will get 1 for Secret. An entry from Leon Gids. He's got the SMG-11 in hand. He'll take 2 down and look for them all. He gets them. A big 3K from Leon Gids to end the round, and it is over just as soon as it starts. With Secret absolutely cracking that round open, proving that the SMG-12's changed to its recoil, probably still deadly in the right hands. We're all tied up.
There we go. There we go, Leon. That's the secret that people were talking about in the last season, and that's the secret we wanted to see here today. Didn't really show up yesterday, but here we go. Against G2 of all teams. Leon, excellent play there. Gotta say, individually holding that together right at the end. Well, they had a decent chunk of control, though, that was edged out by the whole team throughout the round. I mean, CZ, that early kill downstairs, that was huge. That gave them so much because there was no one from G2 to refrag, and that's a rarity. We talked about this before. G2's normal roam game has to do with people roaming individually but close to each other in a way where they can bounce off of each other, and there's almost always a crossfire that you have to walk into in order to challenge one of their roamers. On top of that, they also are good at falling off of engagements that are not in their favor. That was an example of an engagement at the very beginning that was not in G2's favor. And sometimes G2 will win those, but when they lose them, it can be extremely detrimental. CC getting that free kill early on, no response from G2, allowed for so much control. Again, the basement being more influential on Kitchen than any other bomb site on this map means that that control they gained was extremely valuable. I don't think that's a, yeah. I mean, you could just shoot the plant. Some people passively shoot the plant. Like, I know people who will just shoot that potted plant when they get control of 90 because they have OCD and they do that. I mean, we'll see if the cam works out.
Don't diminish people with actual OCD, Michael. That is...
What are you talking about?
Unkind.
What are you talking about diminishing?
You don't diminish them.
I was giving credence to, I was giving credit to. I mean, it's...
Were you giving credit or were you giving credence?
I don't know anymore, Parker. You're confusing me.
I'm confused myself, so we'll get back into the action. 30 seconds eclipsed into round number 5. That transition is smooth as butter. Thank you very much.
I was trying to say they would get a camera because they have a thing. That's a good...
No, I completely agree with you. And I mean, you've seen a lot of environmental debris that actually gets shot quite a bit. Think on Cafe, over in Pixel Spot. A lot of teams will impact the bench so that you can play there and actually hold that pixel angle with greater efficiency back when Cafe was in the map rotation. So it's just to further lend credit and validity to what you were saying. Secret all on Repel and also on Drone as well. Not really Repel for Meepy as he's crouch walking in trying to set up a Claymore, but Kanto Raketti gets one and then immediately gets traded off, but he's downed. As we wait to see if Alems can capitalize on that kill, he gets hit and disoriented with the Yokai drone. He's obviously going to want his kill. Trying to crawl to freedom, or at least safety, is Kanto Raketti, but there's Alems who's hot on the trails, and he will indeed see the blood trail. And then the leg of the Valkyrie, and that is just an execution. As we're now back at a 4v4. You've taken 90 seconds here, and I think Leon Gids is anticipating somebody playing by that wall. Pengu could have been vulnerable, but he'll move instead, as Leon Gids can't quite shoot through the reinforcement. Not a lot of site presence at the moment for G2. You're going to rely a lot on Goga to hold that together with the Yokai drone. And Pengu with a beautiful 2K on the last time we saw the site from G2. Will look to do similarly incredible things. Whereas with Secret, they're making sure they dot their I's and cross their T's, Michael. Getting all the information handy, but taking quite a bit of time designating this Ash to flank watch, knowing that there's a body downstairs, as both Jonas and Fabian will need to be spotted by Secret.
Lems with control of 90. This is a great position to have, and using those Excaros to open up the wall into gun vault. But looks like Pengu might have impact tricked right the second set of Excaros right as the first one detonated on that gun vault, leaving a prone hole but no crouch hole, which is going to make that a little bit harder to access for Secret. Jonas on a very deep flank. Laki is in a position to flank watch, but he's not actually doing that right now, which could lend a pretty easy kill here to Jonas. The time is ticking down, last 15 seconds, and you're going to need to see that Jonas start pushing it towards the enemy. Fabian and Goga can get their own kills, and Fabian keeps racking him up in stock. That's a hard position to make work, but he certainly is doing just that. Leon on low HP, but he'll still win the fight against Fabian. Jonas from 90 will get the final kill, though, and G2 take the round.
Way too long for Secret to be able to gather the information they needed, and it wasn't accurate when they had it because they got fed right into G2's open maw. So that's just one of those things where you find yourself getting caught off guard. Something is amiss with that round in particular, and the information cannot be relayed as you need it to get the most out of it. For Secret, it's been very interesting, this matchup, because you had the 2 rounds that they took, both rounds 1 and 4. Those were on the site Aviator, or AVG, and then the site Kitchen. And what happened? Well, Secret basically just came right in, took out the roamers for G2, pushed the site, and they had full control, and the round was over. But then you have the polar opposite on rounds 3 and 5 here, where they take quite a while, they lose a body early, and then they really struggle to adapt. Flip a coin actually on the trophy defense on 3, my apologies, because that was the one where it looked like they were going to win, and then Fabian did some of the silliest things that we have seen to give his team that victory. So it's a very volatile game for Secret at the moment. The rounds they win very fast. The rounds that they lose tend to fall apart, and then they cannot get their foot back onto that gas pedal for the remaining 2 minutes, 1 minute 30, 1 minute in the round.
It's definitely something they've been struggling with. If you look at the scoreboard just popped up too, I mean, Leon is the only one with multiple kills on Secret, and that's not what you want to see. That really isn't. So definitely not a great position right now for Secret. They've been struggling on winning those fights, especially in the early game, like you talked about. And if they won't win those fights in the early, then they struggle to keep it going moving forward. Now, Fabian back on Capcan. Yes, considering how well it worked for him last time, it's good to see him back on this Russian trap operator. Now, it's going to be seemingly a clear from the south. It's a pretty sensible way to take out or take control of parts of this map. You can get a good platform to actually assault the site. But the thing is, again, this is against G2, and the way that G2 tends to roam is very extended and hard to deal with. And you're going to see it's going to be crossfire between Pengu and Kanter Raketti on to study. They've even got a Gishmat mine just inside the doorway there, possibly just being shot by the Sophia. But either way, a whole minute being wasted here by G2.
Their positions will be given away by the logic bomb that goes off from Dokkaebi. Pengu fearing a push from the stairs, but Kanto blinded. Doesn't need to be able to see a Lems as he just fills that body full of holes. Steezy's there to recover, and Steezy in particular having one hell of a day so far, at least through their attacking side of things for Secret. Jonas's interaction on the stairs will prompt a push from Pengu with a huge magazine. He's just going to take one and not go for another. He's possibly sees one here, and it's a sibling rivalry as he faces off against the Sophia, but there's another body. It'll be finished off by Steezy. An easy push and pull from Secret, just over on the game side of things. And, well, once again, level us off at 3v3. A lot of action taking place in this mid-round, and we'll see how Secret can adapt, because that, Michael, has been where they struggled so far today.
Fabian downstairs trying to be sneaky, but he will give away a free kill to Leon, who has been fragging out for his team in this match so far. Jonas and Goga, the last two alive. Fabian not there to win for them anymore, so not having the best player in the world is going to make this a lot more difficult. As we come down to the last 50 seconds, though, it's been a decently efficient round for Secret, all things considered. They have enough time to get a clean execution off onto the site. One yokai drone being dispatched there. Goga, hopefully, yes, there it is, for them, has another. And that's going to be that information still very prevalent on the G2 side.
Only 30 seconds. 2 wounded members of Secret. Jonas wounded as well. Will yet again leave the Spaniard in a position of Goga to try and keep this round for his team. And I feel like we say that every single time. He doesn't have any yokai drones at his disposal, it appears, as a final logic bomb will give away Jonas's position, but not Goga. Oh. He loses the fight to Leon, and Lackey will clean things up for Secret. And both teams will split the first half an even 3-3. Bring the wisdom of Villa being a more defender-sided affair out the window, and possibly putting Secret in a commanding position to clear the remaining 6 rounds as they now head to defense.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. That round, Leon gets. That's pretty much it. He's winning quite a lot of fights that he really should not be winning. Very impressive that he's managed to pull that off, and if it were not for a lot of these frags that Leon is getting, then we would probably see a very different story here. I'm imagining probably a 4-2 situation for G2's favor, but not so. So props to Leon for that. Props to the rest of Secret, finally waking up in that round and starting to put in their own little chunks of work. So it's great to see that coordination shine through. Defenders, now, G2 overall played their round the way they wanted to play it. There were some opportunities that were missed. Kanter Raketti missed that shot when we saw, I believe it was Steezy pushing into Aviation. Usually don't see Kanto missing shots. Pengu got away with his life, but I feel like he was playing a little bit too passive. The reason I was a little bit surprised when Pengu pushed the hallway as the Ela, it wasn't because he didn't peek wide and go for more kills. It was that he peeked, got a kill, and the other attacker right next to the one he killed did not secure the refrag, at least not immediately. That's what surprised me. But at the same time, I think it was the right call to see that a little bit of a wider peek there from Pengu. We just didn't see that happen, and thus not more kills. Lackey, having taken 50 damage early in the round, is going to put Secret at a disadvantage, and that's not good as they go to AVG.
That's got to be an impact gone awry, I would imagine, because impacts can do anywhere from what, 40 to 50 damage or something.
Something like that.
Looks like he's at 51 or 52 damage done to him, so that would probably line up perfectly there.
Yeah, really unfortunate taking early damage unnecessarily.
Yeah, I'm not exactly certain why, but G2 will have Jonas on Finka as a main spear of this attack. Speaking of damage being done early on, just not to sidetrack myself, Leon Gids has absorbed almost all of his life in damage at the moment, and it's just currently a specter of himself.
Oh,
Steezy taking out Leon.
A bomb has been located.
Gids, I think he was trying to reset him by throwing the bag,
and he detonated
and accidentally detonated it.
Why?
Mon Dieu, Steezy.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Yeah, what that was.
Not a, it means my God in French.
No, I mean, I was talking about your pronunciation. Never mind.
You want to get into this right now? I will fight you.
No, I'd lose in the pronunciation game.
I will fight you on the moon.
Fight on the moon? Why can't we just fight right here, Parker?
Why can't we fight like G2 and Team Secret at the moment, with Leon Gids going down to a pretty significant mishap, all things considered. G2 Soul Hard Breacher will be on the Hibana. I think we've spoken about it before, that you're capable of attacking Villa due to its soft destruction with only one Hard Breacher. You can bring a Maverick if you really want, but you have to be very wary of impact tricking, which is why Hibana does tend to be oftentimes the most played of the two main Hard Breachers here. A great impact trick, though, as Pengu's unable to do all that much. Jabati laying down at 90. It appears to be the Valkyrie of Lackey, who saw Kanto on Repel. Will set us up for the final minute. It's been Secret's first crack at defense, and even though they've lost Leon early on, we haven't seen all that much from G2, but they'll circle the wagons and get really close, as almost every member of G2 is holding an angle near to or into the site. This can be a potential problem for Secret.
Pengu can push when is necessary, but he's got these gas canisters to contend with now, and there's only one left, but at the same time, there's only 30 seconds left, which means there's going to be a very small window for G2 to make this push happen. Lackey has fallen off of 90, and Goga's going to have to confront him, but question is, will he have the information necessary to do just that? Lackey actually goes for a flank over by the main stairs and comes up behind Goga, but Goga hears the drop and puts the Valkyrie on low HP. Lems and Steezy, though, able to get their own kills, and wow, this has shifted drastically. Pengu with a double and a pistol off the blitz. Cantor Kenny looking for fights, but Steezy goes undetected, and Pengu, the knife and the defuse plant to catch up the clock. Lackey has to come back to the site, but he doesn't have it. Solo HP, and Goga's waiting for him. G2 take the round.
Absolutely looked like that was falling to pieces for G2 there, and that Secret was just going to be able to ride it out. The clock burning down, but hard to fill a blitz full of pellets with the shotgun of that smoke when he's got the shield in front of him, and it was a miss. Just absolutely remarkable the way that Pengu was able to play that. And you're going to ban the Montaigne to take Pengu off of his main shield. That's okay. You'll go with the all reliable blitz, and then of course aided. And I would say probably empowered by the Finka to just be better overall, as long as you can bait out those toxic babes of smoke. Those are his toxic canisters, in case you're wondering. But there's not going to be a Finka this time around. And the only set of frag grenades from G2 will also be removed, as it's the 6th pick onto Thatcher. It's the utility lineup that's going to come out to try and take on Secret's lineup, which looks pretty standard here. Tons of plant denial in hands of both the Echo and the Smoke. And you've got the Legion as well as just a general nuisance. Something for Goga to focus on, but a lot of teams will just drone out those goo mines and shoot them, rather than actually commit the gadget to them.
I want to know if we have double shotgun SMG-11 on the British operators.
Sure,
looks like we do. Yeah, we do. Look at that. Full commitment there from Team Secret. And it is such a powerful kit. It's no surprise to see that. Now, The overall operator selection here from Team Secret, definitely excellent. They've got 2, 3 really good tools to deal with, or you could say 5 if you count C4. But if you don't count C4, you've got 3, again, really good tools to deal with Pengu's Blitz, which was a pretty big problem there for Secret in the last round. The Blitz-Finka combo, like you talked about, was very powerful. They've rotated off the Finka, though, like you talked about, for the Thatcher, which is going to make Blitz less potent, as he's not going to ADS nearly as quickly. Now, overall, still going to be a very useful operator and able to help clear the roamers, and that's definitely a shift in the mentality here for G2, at least ever so slightly in the way they're handling this round. Decent efficiency here, though, to already have control of Astronomy Trophy with only a minute expended. Look at this, 3 drones ahead of Pengu.
And he's basically a human drone as well.
Yeah, and they've got a Twitch drone to deal with all of that utility that is on the side of Secret.
Well, actually, it looks like Kanto just tased Lackey once with it and then lost the drone. So, I mean, you kind of have to wonder.
I mean, to attempt to deal with the utility, all right? I didn't say he was going to be successful.
Oh, Leon gets from below. Tosses up a Nitro Cell, and that's some airmail that takes out Pengu, and that is a message that is indeed sent and received by G2. So they'll lose the member of their team who was able to pick up a 3K to help them win the round last time. But by doing so, managed to distract, at least for the time being, Secret's attention away from the wall into Vault that has been opened up. And every single bit of Fabian's X-Keros have actually found good use, which means that Secret actually will find themselves having to scramble away from areas that they would typically sit in to defend. Speaking of Secret not being able to defend main areas, they won't have the aid of one Yokai drone because just got shot out. A little bit of a mistake there, but Leon gets picking up yet another kill from below onto Goga. Kanto looks perplexed, trying to figure out what happened to the mute down below.
Love that patience there from Leon. And I guess that really does set. Whoa, what a shot from Alems. Talk about fights he should not be winning. Fabian able to get the first kill for his team, but it doesn't matter. Secret just absolutely shut out G2, and they managed to take AVG quite dominantly after losing it in the previous round. By the way, that C4 on 90, I guess puts an end to the debate of whether or not you consider C4 a direct counter to shields anymore, as it was a pretty potent one.
Well, I mean, it'll kill anything from below.
Yeah, it will kill anything from below, but it's still, he managed to get the shield. He got, I think, in my opinion, very lucky that it was the shield that died to that C4. Obviously, it was a pre-play C4 just for anybody to step onto 90, but still, the shield was probably the best possible outcome there.
And on top of that, Pengu probably could have fit in through the 6x Kairos, or the rather, technically, my apologies, the 12x Kairos that made the whole inside of Vault. Pengu could have just easily slipped right on in and been able to try and cleave that site in half. Interestingly enough. No 6 pick whatsoever from Secret. Fabian will just use it to switch hard breachers from Hibana onwards over to the Thermite, knowing that Trophy is going to be the play here. Now, you're going to be bringing a Thermite. Why? Because you got that master bedroom wall that you want to crack open.
Yeah, and that's a very important wall to have access to. It's likely going to be their target, given that they've brought 3 different anti-electronic operators in IQ, Thatcher, and Twitch. That's going to deny any of the bandit tricks that might happen, but oh, look at that, there is no bandit. It's going to be mute jammers, very likely on the wall, but those are easier to deal with as they cannot be picked up and placed down in rapid play. But
5 seconds to go.
we'll see how much time G2 is going to spend on that wall. They have other things they're going to have to deal with in order to take this site. It never comes down to just the master wall.
No, and I mean, even establishing control over master itself and then making sure that you don't get pushed from bathroom can be a difficult goal for a lot of teams, one that doesn't end up being attainable within the span of any given round. So there's a team that's going to be able to pull it off. I'd imagine both of these teams would be able to do so, as Secret has typically sat amongst the titans of EU, and of course G2 doesn't need anybody to speak for them, as they speak for themselves. Fabian will use one of those exothermic charges to open up the closet, which will allow a long line of sight all the way deep in towards Astro, at least towards the Astro doorway and towards the top of the stairs. A lot of people call that astronomy shorthand Astro, just for those keeping track at home. Pengu's entry through study will mean that he's going to come from a completely opposite direction of that second floor to try try and put some pressure onto Team Secret. Once again, they do have sufficient counters for a shield. They've got the goo mines, which will stop G2 every step of the way. They've got the toxic canisters from Steezy, and then they've got the yokai drones. And let us not forget the nitro cell from Leon Gids, who will sail overhead and find Pengu yet again. Leon Gids isn't so great. Are you kidding me? As he'll take out Pengu, and that's the very first kill of the round. Comes at about a minute and a half into play, and the shield will be sat down yet again.
Goga has control of 90, powerful position, but he's got so many exposed flanks right now because his teammates are just not in a spot to assist him. That's why he's going to be throwing down that drone, looking for information. Pengu going from drone to drone to drone, I'm sure, trying to call out as much as he can. Over by a statue, you see the Jaeger of Lackey. He is not exposing his barrel right now, but it looks like Kanto Kitty is still aware of his location. There it is. That's all you need. And Kanto will stay glued to that corner until he gets the kill, in all likelihood. The peek and pre-fire from Lackey, though, managing to get his own frag onto Kanto. That's a fight that you would not expect him to win normally. Leon from behind will take down Goga. That's because we saw Pengu eliminated earlier. There just was not enough manpower to push from the main hallway. And Secret look in dominant form here to defend this round. Jonas trying to get the angle onto the Jaeger, but he's got to expose himself to Meepy. This is just too difficult to pull off as a single player, and as Fabian gets taken down by Leon, it's all up to Jonas in a 1 versus 5. You could see that both of these players are aware of Jonas' location. Some bad timing on the Legion trap. It's not going to matter. Alems wins that fight. That's 2 that he shouldn't have won going his way. Props to him for that. In fact, it was actually a 3-way crossfire. My bad. And Alems was on the other end of the room. Either way, though, Secret absolutely dominating that round. Perfect.
4, actually, if you consider that the smoke was playing inside of Astro, hugging the doorway to toss a toxic canister down to choke off.
Sure, yeah.
Jonas from coming in. But I was going to note, and it was actually something we saw for just a second on the screen. The undermounted laser, the side-mounted laser of Meepy was shown on the doorway, and you could see from where Jonas's crosshair placement was, he noticed it and immediately stopped because he knew that there was somebody on his right, but he knew there was someone on his left as well.
You know,
that information, that kind of thing, is a big reason why there are some players who don't advocate for running that laser sight underneath, because it can be shown, that little red dot, or can be shown on various walls, etc. It gave away Meepy's position, but Jonas knew he was in between a rock and a hard place at that point.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I'm one of those players. I mean, definitely in the not advocating for the use of those laser sights. Because, yeah, if you're holding an angle, okay? You're holding an angle and you're aiming where you expect your opponent to be, it's very likely that that laser sight is going to give away what you're aiming at. If you're doing that, that's what you're supposed to do, that's where you're supposed to be aiming, then you have to adjust your aim to, instead of aiming where you expect your opponent to be when they peek around a corner, you have to aim at the corner, which means you're going to have to make a micro adjustment when somebody comes around. So instead of being already aimed where you should be aiming, you're going to have to adjust your aim, and that's going to add to the time in your reaction to every single fight. So it's, in my opinion, it's not worth it to bring a laser sight and make your hip fire tighter, because you have to add time to all of those angle hold engagements, and it time to your reaction, and that's just going to cause you to lose a lot more of those.
So Secret has come back in great fashion here, winning both of their last 2 defensive rounds, which means that they're going to have to go downstairs. They're going to bring a Frost with them, and Leon Gids top fragging at the moment, getting the kills he needs. He's been playing the operators designed to get kills as well, so that's him doing his role quite sufficiently, getting droned in and enabled by his team. Not quite as much as we saw from Pengu, who was getting droned in regularly, but when Leon Gids was on attack, you saw that there was quite a bit of dedication towards droning him in. Now he's playing just over by the pantry. He knows he's got 1. He's going to pick up lucky number 13, go for a 4th, and he's going to grab it onto Fabian. Leon Gids is indomitable, looking for his 3rd, peeking up, and he's going to not grab it onto Pengu, who shuts down both Meepy and Leon. And Michael, I got to tell you, this was one of the funnest matches that we've seen in months.
And it's a contest of the fraggers. Pengu managing to just barely inch out Leon in that engagement, and it was what looked like it was going to be Leon's fight actually went back, and now G2 are in the driver's seat despite the work that Leon put in for his team. Currently in this round, Leon's the only one on Secret to have any frags, and looks like G2 are going to be in a good spot because of him being taken out.
let's not discredit Steezy. We did lose track of his 4 or 5 or 6 kills that he had
Right,
prior to
fair.
the rehost, so his numbers are definitely going to be up there as well.
Fair.
G2, knowing they have the numbers advantage, they have, well, they have a pretty
Oh.
good tempo sent with just a minute to go. Lackey not on pulse, or not on his sensor. His pulse will peak out and 2 toxic canisters remaining for Steezy will mean that there's still plenty of opportunity to shut this one down. It did not look like the C4 from Lackey was still in hand, though, so that is going to be an issue.
Also an issue, the diffuser is down on the opposite end of the map from where all of the G2 attackers are currently. The last 2 defenders in the way. Pengu's going to have to go downstairs to retrieve it. He's on low HP though, so this is worrisome. He's actually not going to commit to picking up that diffuser. It looks like G2 is going to focus entirely on the frags in the last 30 seconds.
And that's the right call to make, given the situation they find themselves in. But both Kanto and Pengu are very low. A good gun in the hands of the Twitch and the F2, and Lackey will fire and take down the only member, as it's 2 with Steezy picking up 1 as well on the Kanto, leaving just Pengu. I think you're going to look back on this one, and his Secret is poised to move on to match point. Just a little bit of Steezy shown, and he puts 1 to the chest of Pengu. G2 gets shut down, and if only they'd grabbed that diffuser, Michael, they might have been able to take better site control and go for the plant, but ultimately Secret, excellent teamwork to hold down both entry points through which G2 funneled and then got gunned down. We find Secret now on match point, capitalizing on the fact that they defended second and running up that tally.
So, G2 Esports, widely considered to be one of the best teams in the world, if not the best team, and objectively with the most wins overall for LAN finals and majors. Currently, in the second match of this season, on match point, not in their favor. That is something you don't expect to see, and props to Secret for putting G2 there. They're 1 round away from it all being over for the day, and it took, I believe, when did Penta win? Was it the last match of the season or the second last match of the season when Penta beat G2?
I think it was the second last
Yeah.
match of the season, then I think it was Mocket for their last match, if I recall.
Yeah, maybe. But it took to the end of the season before G2 lost a match last season. Here, it could be day 2. But it's not over yet. If there's ever a team that can come back from a deficit, it's G2 Esports. But they're definitely going to have to show us their best gameplay because, honestly, Secret has looked really strong on defense of Villa. And they get to go back to AVG, which is, I think, well, we can all agree, the best site on this map, at least Secret's preferred site, as it's the one they've been going to the most consistently.
So only 3 minutes are going to separate whether Secret will pick up their first victory of the season. Keep in mind, in an eternal grudge match against Chaos, 2 teams, both Secret and Chaos, that have quite an interesting history with one another, finding themselves toppling G2, and Leon Gids removes his brain from his skull and then removes Jonas from the round as well. And that is a tilter, if I've ever seen one myself.
Leon is just taking fights. He did it in the last round. He's doing it in this round. Leon is just taking fights and winning them. And that's such an odd thing to say when they're playing against G2. I know I feel like I keep coming back to the when you're playing against G2 discussion, but it's true. Usually that works in the other direction. Usually peaking like that, that's going to allow G2 a free kill. But not when it's Leon, as he's hitting his shots. Impressive.
Let's put G2 on a back foot now as they've been knocked on their heels, losing their IQ and losing a gadget that could pay dividends, especially knowing that there's going to be Black Eyes, there's going to be Mute Jammers, there's going to be Goo Mines, and Yokai Drones as well. So that's a very bad operator to lose early on, as both Kanto and Fabian have been softened up by Secret. A reset on Steezy will happen as Meepy is also taking quite a bit of damage, so these skirmishes for both teams have not really found any intended targets, at least for the time being, though everybody losing a little bit of their HP.
G2, in terms of HP, is in a good spot, although that's going to be a lot lost there onto Kanto. Pengu's going to get Leon downstairs, and that's a C4 out of play for Secret, one that has in the past been very, very potent. On top of that, Leon, the top fragger for Team Secret. That's a huge kill to have, no matter the situation.
Down below, some renovation work being done by Pengu in the main lobby, trying to expand the sightline and create more of an open concept here in the villa in the Italian countryside. Now he'll head towards the actual site and use the skeleton key to try and put some pressure on the defenders above. He'll lob up a frag grenade, but there's nobody playing behind the bar.
Attackers have
The intended target has now moved, as we can see the smoke hugging the A chassis a lot tighter than before. G2 is going to have to quicken things now, as you've got to imagine that Meepy has left quite a bit of goo mines separating both G2 and Secret from one another, and they'll be on the path inwards. Kanto, Raketti, and Pengu trying to deal some damage here to Steezy and not hit one another, but it's Alems will pop up and take down Fabian, and there goes another member of G2 as Pengu falls. Kanto trades it off, but we are very close. Both Meepy and Steezy are one tick of damage away. But Goga and Kanto Raketti both stacked up, trying to enter. One shotgun blast will down them both, and Secret will find their first victory, knocking G2 down the standings as they sat tied atop with Ents. An excellent game from Secret, and a pretty good, I would say, second day after falling short of Chaos yesterday.
Also, it means we're not going to be ticking off the days until G2 loses a match in a season any longer. Right off the bat, Secret make it happen. Massive props to them. That was an excellent match, especially from Leon Gids, dropping 15 kills, and that's after the rehost. I don't even know what he had before.
I don't remember exactly how many. I think he might have got 1 or 2. I know that it was Steezy who got the 4K in the very first round. That was won by Secret, and then... I mean, I don't exactly recall the number.
Whatever the number, more than 15. Probably.
It sucks that those numbers don't carry over.
It really does.
I understand that they don't, but it sucks that they don't.
To be fair, the rehost system we have is infinitely better than what it was in the past. Remember when?
Very true.
Remember when you had to go back in and you just had to pretend there were extra rounds, and then if you got to the half,
very correct.
You got to halfway through the match, then we would have to rehost again, and man, yeah, it's a lot better.
You'd have to rehost for sides, and then keep in mind that it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then you have to rehost as well for the overtime.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a headache. So system is infinitely better, as I think was the exact thing that you said. Yeah. It's something that I'm sure that the people at both ESL and SiegeGG have probably been keeping track of in regards to. But a hell of a performance from Secret. Great individual performances by Steezy to carry that team through their attacking rounds, which is no easy task.
Yeah.
And then Leon Gids on defense. An absolute barbarian.
I do have to say, I think that a big part of why G2 ended up losing that is they dropped way too many defense rounds. I mean, they dropped 3 and ended in a 3-3. It's the same thing we were talking about when we saw Clubhouse 2 days ago when we were casting Latin America. So if you end a half on defensive Villa on Clubhouse, you end a half 3-3, you as the defending team have lost that half. Even if it's an even round count, you need to be getting, positive rounds on defense of a map like Villa. Right. And that's exactly what we saw when Secret went to their defensive half. They lost the first round, but then from there it was just win, 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 because they seemed very comfortable there.
Yeah, I mean, it's both of these teams have been on the record saying you got to win your defenses. G2 split it. Secret won 4 of the 5 rounds they spent on defense, which is what you need to do. Don't look any further than what happened with Penta in our first matchup of what happens when you don't win the side that you're intended to win. But we'll pick the brain of Meepy as we throw up our interview with Secret and the Secret team captain / IGL in apparently just a second. Actually, it's not.
Yeah, in just a moment.
Just a moment.
You can interview me, Parker, if you want to do that.
Michael, how's your day going today?
It's good, Parker. Thank you for asking. How is yours?
I had a great day today. I slept.
Yeah.
I woke up. I've been making all my food. But as much as I liked asking you questions, I want to ask Meepy some questions here. So we'll pull up the interview with you with Team Secret, and we'll ask a couple questions to one of the guys who I think is known throughout the entire community as being one of the most cerebral players in all of not just EU but all of Pro League. We'll bring up Meepy. Hey there. How are you doing? Congratulations.
I'm good. Thank you.
I was really hoping that you wouldn't get a kill through the second half, so I could lead off with that. But you got the kill in the very final round. So I suppose the rest of the team doesn't need to get them when Leon is getting every single one. So
yeah.
Now, one thing that I wanted to ask you, and I'm probably going to ask every single team this today, is you're only 24 hours, possibly even less, removed from your last matchup. Now, for you, it's been the second match of the day where the team that lost yesterday won today. So when you went up against a team like Chaos and then immediately pivot and have to go up against G2, how do you condense your preparation for that, such a short period of time to ready yourself for the match today?
So what you saw yesterday was basically us. We're kind of real bit rusty, a bit cold, but we went into yesterday with a little bit more of a robotic mentality, ones and zeros, just static strats, doing this, doing that. It wasn't really working out, and we knew when it comes to preparing with to play against G2, they like to play really chaotic, but when you start to really zoom in, you start to see the patterns and the things that they do, and you see the general way that they play. And we found out a little bit of a while ago that we could play more freely. We can have a little bit more of fun with them. In terms of we don't need the static strats. If we just play off of each other, if we play to trade, if we play for the frags, if we play on our gadgets, we rotate people around enough, we'll beat them in the rounds. It doesn't matter whether it's attack or defense, even on Villa.
When you're designing strategies around a team as chaotic as you said of G2, who do have some semblance of patterns here, obviously one of the things that G2 has been heralded for from lots of teams is their refrag potential. But today, I was actually quite impressed on both attack and defense. The number of times when rounds went well for you, you had everything lined up perfectly to ensnare members of this team. Jonas and Kanto in particular went down really early on. As somebody who's been in this scene for so long, how do you even begin to design a strategy for your team around this idea of we need to be able to pinch him immediately? Is this something that's done simply on the fly, or is there work that you do ahead of time to try and track their patterns and have their pieces in place going into the round?
So when it comes to like star players on a team, obviously Kanto is the name that jumps out when it comes to G2. You just kind of have to figure out what operators they're playing. And when you hear that operator's gun, whether it's shooting down a barricade, shooting a camera outside, you know roughly where that player is going to come from. And if you can stack people towards that area, then you give Kanto one hell of a time if he's trying to fight a 1v2 or 1v3, especially when we're only playing to trade him. We don't mind continuing around if it's a 4 versus 4 and Kanto's dead. It's just about being where he is and stopping him from getting as much free ground as possible. As you saw yesterday, Kanto went off. He was constantly picking people off. He was entering the building alone or with friends. It doesn't matter. He was doing the work, but no one was there to stop him. So today we decided, let's stop him.
That actually leads into a question that I wasn't going to ask, but I've heard from a couple teams that they do a lot of homework on one particular member. You look at Latin America, for example. I've been told from coaches before that they study Nesk to try to deliberately shut him down. So I'd imagine that you do quite a bit of work, and I'm sure every other team in EU does, deliberately to figure out the patterns of Kanto just to try and cool him off, because that takes a pretty potent weapon away from G2.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with your star players who are like starting to frag out. When they get the ball rolling, it's really hard to stop. It's the sooner you stop them, the better. And the earlier rounds are the ones that count. Specifically, when we were going into these early attack rounds, we understood that Villa is, it's very defender favored, and all we needed to really do is get a couple of rounds on the board. And we knew that Kanto would be at the forefront of these roaming strategies. We didn't necessarily do a ton of preparation for it. It's more of a on-the-fly, off-the-cuff, this is where Kanto is, let's start closing in on him.
And when you have Leon playing as good as he did today, playing extremely loose, you mentioned those star players getting the ball rolling well. I can't think of a better way of describing what happened with Leon too. So with that said, anything to say to your fans, to your sponsors, to the team, etc., and to the viewers as we conclude the interview?
Same as always. Big thank you to all of the fans and the followers and the viewers for supporting not only us, but Pro League in general. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much for your time. All the best in your next match, and congratulations.
Thank you.